Hi, welcome to DIY FI. We recently bought this property, which we intend to house hack into a cash flowing rental.
We hope you find value in this week's episode. Please hammer down on that like button and subscribe if you want to stay up to date on all the financial details of our project. Enjoy the show.
Alright, so as you'll see in the floor plan, our plan is to move this wall 2 feet in order to give us a 5-foot wide space here to add a second bathroom. The current bathroom back behind me has 2 entrances, one from the hall, one from the master. So we're going to go ahead and block this wall off and convert that into just a master bath, and then this area here will be the bathroom for the remainder of the house. So like I said, we're going to move this wall 2 feet over, and the original plan was to put the shower here, the toilet here, and then the vanity here, and then the entrance being about where the camera is now. But what I did yesterday is I drilled all my pilot holes, basically where I'm planning on running my trench, and I found that where I was planning on putting the toilet, the concrete is significantly thicker, indicating that there's probably a beam, a structural beam in the concrete in that area. So with that said, what I did is I came around on the other side and drilled my line for where the toilet's going to be, and I found that the concrete remains between 4 and 5 inches thick, which indicates that there's not a beam in that track. So I've adjusted the floor plan now to put the toilet on the right side when you're coming in, and then the shower drain here. So that means I'm gonna have to shift my trench over. Not really a big deal. That's the whole reason I drilled the pilot holes, because had I just tried to cut it and jackhammer in, I would have damaged the structural beam. But now I've just put 4 3/4 inch holes in it. It's not going to affect the structural integrity of the beam whatsoever. So I'll leave that uninterrupted and focus my attention on this side. Alright, so I've got the base trenching done. Now I just need to dig down, but I've got the path kind of lined out and laid out, so I'll walk you kind of through what's going on here, and then keep digging. This middle bedroom, you saw me trying to look through the window here, so there's glare, but you can see the path where I drilled pilot holes to check the thickness of the slab, make sure there's no beams. So that's done, and I've defined the path of all the plumbing for the toilet, the vanity, and the new shower. It's coming out underneath the slab here. So I'm going to go out there, down this trench, come around, and then tap in right here at this existing cast iron. They've already done a PVC conversion in part of the house. They did some lining work on the original cast iron, but anyway, there's a combination of PVC and cast iron. But regardless of that, there's an issue here that needs to be resolved, which is that either a root has grown under this pipe and lifted it up, or with the foundation settling, it's pushed this pipe down, or they just originally did a very poor job and there's a transition. So I actually observed this when I scoped the plumbing before I bought the house and knew that there was an issue here to begin with. So this isn't really a surprise. How it came to be is questionable, but honestly at this point it doesn't matter. What I'm going to end up doing is coming out here and putting a Y fitting right here, which my second bathroom will drain into. So we've drilled all our pilot holes to check the path of the future plumbing, make sure that there's no beams or anything in the way. Today I'm going to come in and vacuum all the debris up, and then using a diamond wheel I'm going to score the whole path. That way when I come in with the jackhammer, I don't crack past the area I intend to break up. So
I may look a little goofy, but grinding this stuff is going to put a lot of dust in the air. So just trying to keep my legs clean, eyes and ears. Let's go.
So next I'm going to cut back the visqueen, which is this black material that's on top of the soil, and this just keeps the moisture from coming up through the slab and getting condensation on the floor. So we'll cut that back and then we'll start digging. After I put all the new plumbing in and get everything set up, we'll backfill it with the soil that we're about to pull out, and then I will cover it back up with some new visqueen to keep that condensation coming back in the future. So we breached the outside from under the slab. Now we just got to keep digging. So we got to dig down roughly to that depth, which is around 20 inches from the elevation of the slab. Down at the end here, we're going almost 8 feet, so roughly 1 inch of elevation change from there to the outside of the house, and that'll put us right under the footer. And then we'll continue on with that 1/8 of an inch per foot slope all the way out to the cast iron drain pipe at the front of the house. As I discussed yesterday, I'm going to have to dig out a little further and then cut the pipe because of that transition issue that we have up there. And we can remedy that, and also wide this drain line in. I decided to go for 2 separate drain lines. The other drain line's actually right here. That would have been the easiest method, is just to tap in right here. I wouldn't have to dig all the way around, but this original cast iron pipe that's under the slab has been lined at one point in its life, and I'd prefer to have a completely independent drain line for this bathroom, so that if there is an issue in the future, it's only going to be on one or the other, and it shouldn't be on both unless it's out past the street, or past the front of the house, which would be easier to fix, and we wouldn't necessarily have to disrupt future tenants. So yeah, keeping them independent I think is the safer bet for me. Yeah, it's more work and a little bit more expensive, but long term I think it's the better option. Alright, so I've dug my trench here, and I'm checking to see if there's enough slope in this trench to allow natural drainage of the plumbing. So code says 1/8 of an inch per foot is required. So what I've done here is I have a 2 foot long cheap level, and I've found a piece of wood that's 1/4 inch thick. So that's 1/4 inch every 2 foot, which is the same as 1/8 of an inch a foot. So what I'm going to do here is set this on the pipe, and it should read level if the slope is correct. So I'm going to come in here and make sure that it's at minimum 1/8 of an inch a foot all the way down this trench. If so, then I'll go ahead and move outside and continue digging out there.
Alright, so it's day 3 here. Just picked up all the plumbing supplies I need, and I guess I'll show you where I left off yesterday. Alright, so what will happen today is we'll line from this future bathroom all the way around to the front of the house where the main drain line comes out. We'll rough everything in, finish it up, and then we'll begin taking down this wall here. And once this wall is taken out, we'll start building the new wall, which the new wall will actually run right here. So this is where the vent pipe is going to come up through the wall. It'll come up and over. I want to get the wall set up first, just so I'm positive everything is in the right location before I backfill this and cover the slab, and then concrete it back over.
I was going to do all that in one day? Come on.
All the roots. Look at that. All the roots in the sewage line. Well, had I tapped into the plumbing under the bathroom and not dug out here, I would have been in for some serious headaches. I would have had to dig all this stuff up anyway. So this, where I cut this pipe, about 4 inches closer to the house from it, there was either a cut or a clean break with no collar or anything. This little piece here. So roots were just coming in and growing, and you can see that stuff's disgusting. So no sewage or toilet paper would have made it past that. There's no doubt about that. So glad I did it. Sucks, but do it right the first time. Alright, so I'm feeling a restriction about 5 feet in to this pipe here. I'm not sure if I've pushed this stuff down there or if that's just where it naturally was. So what I'm going to do is, using a little bit of wire, I'm going to create a little trap so that I can shove the hose down there, kind of shake it around, and hopefully pull back whatever it is that's clogging the pipe right there. Alright, so I've made this little contraption here. I should be able to go down there, maybe twist it a little bit and then pull back, and hopefully I've caught enough of this stuff to bring it back up. And then I can also run the water hose if I need to, but this first run I'm going to go without it. Oh yeah. Worked like a charm. Look at that. It's kind of gross, but I gotta grab it. Alright, so it seems like we've got it clear. I'm going to turn the water on now and make sure I don't see anything backing up.
We'll wrap this episode up with a snapshot of our current totals for this property. Closing costs are $11,800, consumables are $108.31, and materials are $937.70, making for a grand total of $12,846.01. Stay tuned for next week's episode. We complete the new bathroom rough-in plumbing. I spill an entire bottle of PVC primer on myself, accidentally split the main water line with a shovel, and we frame out the new bathroom walls. As always, don't forget to hammer down on that like button and subscribe to stay up to date on our progress.